Welcome to Unit 1, Module 3, Importance of Environmental Preservation. Learning Objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to understand the need for environmental preservation, learn about the environmental protection mechanisms and laws, comprehend the individual and institutional responsibilities. Now let us first see the distinction between conservation and preservation. The terms conservation and preservation are being used interchangeably, but they refer to different ideas. Now let us see what is conservation. Conservation means to protect plant, animals and the natural areas from damage caused by human activity. In other words, it is safeguarding the ecosystem by using natural resources sensibly. Preservation. Preservation is protecting the environment from destructive human activity. In other words, it is keeping the plant in its original form and preventing it from any damage or degradation. There were around 1 billion individuals on the planet Earth during 1800. Presently, it is around 8 billion and it is still growing. More population means larger requirement of resources which are drawn from the ecosystem, such as requirement for food, water and energy keeps increasing along with population rise. Even in areas well protected by preservation regulations, rising demand may lead people to exploit the natural resources. Communities, organizations and government regulations must all share the responsibility of successfully implementing the environmental preservation initiatives if they are to be successful. In China, the population of giant pandas has risen as a result of habitat preservation done during the past 10 years. This was because the category of panda was changed from endangered to vulnerable in 2016. This was a step in the right direction. Next, coming to wetlands. Wetlands are a great location for preservation. Wetlands reduce erosion and flooding while enhancing the quality of water. To quote an example, let us see the largest freshwater wetland in Africa, which is called the Okawanga Desert. In the heart of southern Africa, the Kalahari Desert gives way to one of the world's largest wetland as seasonal rains from Angola's highland flood northern Botswana's Ongawana Delta each year. The Ongawana Wilderness Project was started in 2015 by the National Geographic explorer Steve Boyce to protect the area that supplies more than 95% of water for that region, supplies water for 1 million people. It supports the world's largest remaining elephant population as well as lions, cheetahs, wild dogs, hundreds of species of bird and much more. This was the greatest wetland project initiative in that region, which not only helped in providing water for that region but also helped in nurturing wildlife. Both preservation and conservation methods work to protect the environment, but they take rather different approaches and routes. Protecting the environment from negative impact of human activities is the aim of preservation. Now let us see what are the goals of environmental protection. They are: 1. To protect mankind. Given that people cannot survive without a healthy environment, this is the most important, crucial objective of environmental protection. The second goal of environmental protection is to protect the ecosystem. Ecosystems support all life on earth and offer numerous advantages to us, including clean air, water, food and energy. The third goal of environmental protection is to provide for and to promote sustainable development. A development that is sustainable is one that satisfies the current requirement without endangering the capacity for the future generations and to satisfy their needs. Now, let us see why environmental protection is so very important. One, it is to save lives. Everything in the planet is interrelated, that is, hunger, global warming, natural disasters, air, water and soil pollution, use of pesticides in fields, etc. Environmental protection is so crucial because it preserves rather than destroys livelihoods. Long-term availability of essential natural resources is a must for survival of mankind. The second is to protect animals. Protecting wildlife could lower the frequency and severity of destructive forest fires. Grazing by plant-eating wild animals reduces the amount of grass that can cause fires. Further, wild animals play a very crucial role in maintaining the health and the fertility of the soil through nitrogen enrichment. Their excrement and urine replace the soil's mineral content and hence it helps in restoring the nutritious value. Wildlife can also transfer nutrients around. For instance, the hippo's nighttime grazing on the grasslands delivers the nutrients back to the river through their excrement, so as enhances the fish productivity in the rivers. The third is to fight against natural disaster. The World Bank estimates that more than 3.4 billion people, or more than half of world's population, are exposed to at least one natural hazard. According to the report, the severity of natural disaster impacts has increased over the past 50 years, in part due to loss of healthy ecosystems in the affected regions. The picture indicates the effect of floods, the effect of earthquake on human beings. According to New World Wildlife Fund analysis, environmental degradation is a major contributor to the transformation of extreme weather agents which results in natural disasters. WWF urges government to establish sufficient protected areas and also to sustain the natural ecosystems such as coastal mangroves, coral reefs, floodplains, forests, which may act as buffer against natural disasters. The fourth one is for future generations. Avoiding activities that lead to environmental degradation and adopting a sustainable lifestyle is also incredibly helpful for the health of mankind, plant and other living things on earth. It is a moral responsibility and commitment mankind has to make because they owe it to the future generation. Now let us see environmental protection mechanisms. There are many ways to improve the condition of the environment and the most important ones are given below. The role of individuals in environmental protection is also presented. 1. We need to reduce, reuse and recycle. As the symbol indicates, this is very important for environmental protection. Reduce. We need to reduce the use of natural resources as much as possible. For example, if we are able to reduce the use of disposable paper plates, it is very much appreciated. Wood, which is a primary component of the disposable paper plates, is obtained from the forest and this leads to deforestation. In addition, Production of these plates require a considerable amount of water. So we are poaching on the natural resources, namely forests and water. Next, we need to reduce the use of vehicles since they are causing a lot of air pollution. We need to reduce the use of groundwater and surface water to the extent possible. We can adopt rainwater harvesting wherever possible. Rainwater harvesting is a very easy method for storing water which can be used for later requirements. This approach can be used to collect rainwater for a variety of purposes including gardening, irrigation, etc. Reuse. We need to maximize the reuse of products. For example, from coconuts as shown in the picture, we can create products that can be reused. Single-use paper and plastic products have a devastating effect on the environment. These items need to be replaced. Instead, we must use reusable things in our home more regularly. Third, we need to recycle. Ensure waste are disposed through proper mechanisms. Never throw waste around. Waste are very harmful part of the environment since it simply decomposes and pollutes the environment. The most important thing we can do for the environment is not to litter. Make it a practice to properly dispose the waste in a trash can. If you are not able to find a trash can in the vicinity, then wait for one as you walk along or as you travel and dispose your waste only in trash cans. Presently, there are different colored trash cans available, and depending on your product that you wish to discard, you choose the trash can. A significant portion of the garbage that pollutes the environment consists of discarded household products such as plastics, glass bottles, tin cans, damaged computers and other plastic items, sometimes clothing also. These waste elements could remain in the soil and water for years together, contaminating and diminishing their quality. It so happens that these contaminated items gets into the stomach of fish in some instances. We need to recycle the waste instead of releasing it to the environment. When we recycle, we are doing an excellent job of protecting the ecosystem. The animation shows how various products have been recycled. The computer terminal has been recycled to become a fish tank. Paper products have been used to create a photo frame as well as a chair. Wooden articles which come along with packages can be used as plant pots. Now let us go for 2 eco-friendly products. We must maximize the use of eco-friendly products. For example, go for eco-friendly cleaning products as opposed to traditional cleaning solutions that rely on synthetic chemicals. The vast majority of our conventional cleaning products are composed of synthetic chemicals, and these are exceedingly harmful to health. The products we use for cleaning our vessels are all chemical, and those products, if not washed properly, gets into our stomach and causes ill effects to our body. Ban the use of plastic bags and products. Say no to plastic bags. 3. Let us go for organic fertilizers. Never use chemical fertilizers or pesticides because chemical fertilizers gets into the food products during the process, and again it is very harmful to the human beings as well as animals. Let us protect the environment. We need to plant trees wherever possible because there is lot of deforestation that has happened over the years since the Industrial Revolution. Let us save our forests because saving forests helps in giving us a healthy climate. Trees are an important part of our ecosystem. They also serve as filters and maintain a high air quality index. They consume carbon dioxide and releases oxygen, which is very vital for life. There is no need to mention the million of species that the trees support. For example, birds, insects, reptiles. The more trees we plant or protect, greater is our contribution in restoring the environmental health. Let us see the environmental protection laws. Indian government has identified 6 distinct environmental protection laws. These laws safeguard not only our environment but also India's wildlife. Wildlife is, after all, a component of the environment. The Indian environment protection laws are as follows. 1. The Environment Protection Act of 1986. 2. The Forest Conservation Act of 1980. 3. The Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. 4. Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974. 5. Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981. 6. The Indian Forest Act of 1927. Environmental protection has been a fundamental duty of every citizen of India under Article 51AG of the Constitution. It states, "It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures." Now let us see what is the role of institution, the institutional's responsibility towards environment. Environmental sustainability necessitates that the society create activities that satisfy the human needs, while at the same time it helps to save the environment, protect the environment. This includes, for instance, sustainable use of water, energy and materials. For example, if we are cutting wood for the manufacture of paper, then to that extent we should ensure we are taking measures for creating trees towards afforestation. We need to educate and inspire all members of the society and the community. We need to keep the environment clean. At the same time, we need to be green in our process, manufacturing process. We should educate and inform people on how to maintain the environment. Special emphasis should be placed on educating people, especially the children and young adults, on how to protect and take care of the environment. Young children are the future, and if they are trained, they never forget when they get older. When children and young adults are taught the importance of environmental preservation, they will realize its significance later on in their life. We could also motivate people through tree planting and cleaning programs. The responsibility of protecting the environment lies with mankind. Only mankind can save the ecosystem. 1. Voluntary environmental agreements. Among industrialized nations, voluntary environmental agreements help enterprises to be recognized as green brigadiers. Minimal legislative requirements help foster the growth of good environmental practices. Since 1998, Environment Improvement Trust (EIT) in India has been working towards environment and forest protection. 2. Ecosystems approach. Now let us see what is this ecosystems approach. An ecosystems approach to environmental preservation seeks to take into account the intricate relationships of the complete ecosystem. Decisions are taken considering the big picture rather than looking at individual issues or challenges. Planning and decision making is done considering the wide range of stakeholders, including industry representatives, environmental groups and community members. This strategy facilitates a greater sharing of information, enhanced preservation and conservation. 3. International Environment Agreement. International environmental agreements include conventions, protocols and treaty. Many of the international technical agencies established after 1945 were concerned with environmental issues. A burgeoning environmental movement demanded coordinated and formalized international cooperation by the late 1960s. In 1972, Stockholm hosted the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment, which established the right to healthy environment. Later that same year, the United Nations Environment Programme, the famous UNEP, was established. Among the most well-known international agreements are the Kyoto Protocol, which was written in 1997, and the Paris Agreement came into existence during 2015. The UN Human Rights Council adopted Resolution 48/13 on October 8, 2021, recognizing the access to a healthy and sustainable environment as a universal right. 4. Sustainable business practices. The most cost-effective climate change mitigation option include afforestation, sustainable forest management and reduced deforestation. At the local level, there are various movements working towards sustainable food systems, which may include less meat consumption, local food production, sustainable gardening and organic gardening. 5. Circular economy, which is very important. Linear economy is take, make and dispose. Circular economy calls for use, recycle, make, and it is circular in nature. Sustainable use of materials has addressed the concept of dematerialization, transforming the linear path of materials, that is extraction, use, disposable in landfill, to a circular material flow that reuses resources as much as possible, similar to how nature recycles and reuses trash. The concept of industrial ecology, eco-design and eco-labeling are promoting dematerialization. The mindset is reflected in the notion of circular economy, which employs reuse, sharing, repair, refurbishment, remanufacturing and recycling to form a closed loop system, thereby decreasing the usage of resource inputs, reducing the production of waste, pollution and carbon emissions. The 2020 Circular Economy Action Plan, adopted by the European Commission, intends to make sustainable products a norm in the European Union. 6. Resource management between population, environment and consumption. The environmental impact of a community depends on how the population is increasing, the rate at which it is consuming the natural resources, and in turn how it is affecting the environment. The carrying capacity of the ecosystem has to be managed, or in other words balanced, between the growing population on one side and the growing consumption on the other side. Careful resource management need to be implemented at the individual level as well as at the organizational and community level. It is our duty to protect the environment. We need to ensure we are not a party in the destruction of the environment. Without environmental equilibrium, it is impossible to envisage life on earth. Environmental preservation and conservation is necessary for human survival on this planet Earth. Now let us see some questions and answers. Question 1. How will you distinguish between environmental conservation and environmental preservation? As we have seen, conservation is simply protecting the environment from damage. It is ensuring prudent use of the natural resources. Preservation is keeping the environment in its original form, preventing damage and degradation, and preserving what is available. Now let us see question 2. Why is environmental preservation so very important? Answer. Our planet Earth needs healing very badly now. Because of industrialization, there has been large scale exploitation of our natural resources. We are now facing the ill effects of it. Sudden tsunamis, earthquakes, pandemic situations, rising temperatures, etc. are scenarios our present generation is facing. If the present trend continues, it is very difficult to imagine what our future will be like. Just imagine a person is surviving on oxygen support in an hospital, and all of a sudden, what will happen if we remove the oxygen support? That is the condition of our planet now. Our environment is dying, and we have to immediately take action to preserve what is left. Like the liver in a human body, the earth has the capacity to regenerate. So let us help in the process for our earth to heal itself by being sagacious in our use of natural resources. We need to remember we are only travelers in this planet Earth. We need to leave behind a healthy place for our future generations. Question 3. How can we protect our environment? Very simple. As individuals, we have a moral and an ethical responsibility to preserve and protect our environment. Very small responsible acts will go a long way in protecting our environment. Let us go for organic products. Go for different transport systems. Public transport system can be used wherever possible. Let us go for energy saving devices such as LEDs. Let us go for reduce, reuse and recycle philosophy. To summarize, in this module, we have learnt the importance of environmental preservation, understood the role of individuals, organization and society towards environmental preservation, comprehended the need for environmental protection laws. Thank you.